choose to not be first?
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their gilt rings. Right, the bouncer's gilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is Umar for IFL TV. It's absolutely boiling in Wrocław, Poland. Francis Warren and Moses Talma have joined the party here.
Hot, hot, hot.
Yeah, it's like being in your court actually.
Yeah, without getting a suntan. It's nice. Love beautiful city. I've not been here before, so yeah, great setting for a great fight.
Absolutely. Let's discuss Moses Talma first. You come over here with him. I was just speaking to him, coming to a big fight. Obviously, we know he's going to be involved in these type of fights. We hope one day. So it's good to kind of get that experience under his belt.
Yeah, I just think it's good for him to be in and around this sort of environment. Obviously, he's seen Carroll box a couple of times on Tyson's undercards at Wembley and Tottenham. But yeah, for him to be here firsthand, just to sort of gives him that extra bit of oomph to not that he's not determined, but it's and he's certainly not in awe of anything or anyone, but it's it's something to aspire to, and yeah, he's definitely glad to be here. We had a good chat on the way over about the fight and about how big this is for not just Daniel, not just for boxing, but for British sport. I mean, it'd be absolutely huge. And although Usyk's a phenomenal champion, a phenomenal world champion, and a massively fantastic ambassador for sport, for what he's doing for Ukraine, I'm hoping that's not going to stop Daniel from just putting all that aside when the two go toe to toe tomorrow night. And I think Daniel's got a great chance of going and causing an upset. It'd be a big upset, but I think he can do it.
Spoke to Moses about his sparring with Daniel. He was giving me a bit of an insight. What did Moses tell you in terms of feedback from that sparring?
Well, he sparred Daniel a few times over the years, and he said he said to me that this is the best his jab's been. He said it's the leanest he's looked, and probably the most powerful he's been. But what he mentioned is this razor-sharp focus that he seems to have, that he's maybe developed since. Listen, he had a shit night against Joe Joyce. I'm not talking in terms of performance. I'm talking about result. I'm not taking anything away from Joe. Joe was a better man on the night. But Daniel, it was an awful night for him. It was a very bad night at the office. But since then, he's regrouped. And again, it was a pretty average night for him again at Spurs ground. But at the end of the day, he got the job done. He showed the heart of a lion, and he came through it. And this is his reward. He can't let Usyk get into a rhythm. I think if he does, there could be a bit, could be trouble. If Daniel hasn't won a round or 2 rounds by round 5, I think we might be in a bit of trouble, because Usyk's the master of hit and don't get hit. And I just think it's a tall order for Daniel, but I am confident he can go in and do it if he goes in there and he bashes him up, and that's what he's got to do.
Someone who's not lacking confidence is your dad.
I know, he really fancies it. And I've spoken to Martin Bowers as well, he really fancies it. So, listen, he's got everybody's 1,000,000% support. But like I said, he's got to go in there, use his physicality, use his height, use his weight, use his reach. Daniel is the natural heavyweight, and he's got to go and show that.
Francis, your boy Moses is out on the Zhang Joyce 2 card, which is a big bill in London. What's the sort of idea behind the matchmaking for that fight and for the rest of the year, given his last fight in Telford?
Well, he's had some good rounds in the bank, and we felt like after the first 2 fights, it was important for him to get a bit of time in the ring. There's no nerves there. There's no worries about fighting as a professional boxer. That's well and truly done and dusted. We're very confident that he is a professional fighter and very capable of making big waves in this sport. I think I'd like to go. I've got a couple of guys who are going to come and have a go at Moses, because he's chased after 2 very durable journeymen for 12 rounds over his last 2 fights, and I think he's asked me to get someone who's going to come and throw some shots back at him, probably stand and trade a bit. So I think we probably expected some big explosive knockouts. Get the tons wagging again. I think because in terms of the boxing development, we've done a great job in the third and the 4th fight. But in terms of getting the crowd excited and getting people on side, you know, everyone wants to see knockouts. So we've selected a couple of guys that are going to come and have a row with him. But he's still got to keep his hands up, keep his head moving, keep his footwork going, and just go and set about a few people and look for the big headshots.
I'm glad someone's going to come to have a row with him, because in Telford it looked like he was going to have a row with himself at one point.
He gets frustrated and he gets inside his own head, I think, a bit too much, and I think, you know, that's about experience. But, you know, when he does start having title fights and they do the total rounds boxed, you know, I think those 12 rounds will put him in great stead.
It's a younger man.
Young man.
You know, those 12 rounds will put him in good stead, and you know, it's invaluable experience that he's got in these third and fourth fight. But in terms of his confidence building in his and also I'm going to say as well his commercial value, you know, people want to see knockouts and people want to see rows. And although us boxing folk might appreciate those, you know, Moses sort of taking people apart and boxing people's heads off, I think the sports fan appreciates the knockouts.
Francis, last one. Saw a fantastic fight at York Hall last week between both of your guys that you look after, Dennis McCann and Inoke Baluta. I think in most people's opinions that was a fair result. I think you could have swung it either way. A lot of people had Baluta, a lot of people had McCann, a lot of people had a draw. So I think a draw was a fair result. Your thoughts on it, and do you think we see a rematch, Francis? I
think the rematch would be an absolute barnstormer. I'm not sure if it's the best fight for either of the guys. Dennis is adamant that he wants it. Baluta was umming and ahhing a bit because he thinks maybe he could move on to the next level. I don't know. It's one that we'll all have to sit down and discuss. And I know obviously my dad will have a big input on what Dennis does next. And also because I put it this way, I think if you said to me Dennis has got a world title opportunity tomorrow, I'd say he's not ready for it. Whereas Baluta, I'd go with God, because I think he can mix it with the guys, and I think that's probably an experience thing. However, that fight, there was nothing to pick those two guys apart, so that's how good Dennis is, and that's how durable and tough Baluta is. It was almost a clash of it's the top and tail of people's of their careers. You know, Dennis is almost really he's only 22. Arnold's looking for world title fight, so. It just depends on what's best for both guys, and no one's certainly going to be saying that you have to do this, you have to do that. I thought the fight itself was a terrific spectacle. I thought it was a bit messier than, you know, it wasn't like an all-out war. I thought it was just a tough, horrible fight.
Nasty cut.
Yeah, nasty cut, and to be honest, Dennis McCann, grimacing, biting down his gum shield with blood pissing out of his head, looked like a warrior. And I said that to him. I said, "Don't be downhearted." I said, "You've got a lot of respect from people for doing that." I said, "Some guys might have just, fannied about and stayed away, but he kept sticking it to Iron, just as good Iron as Iron was sticking it to him." And I'm very proud of both guys and very proud to represent both of them.
If it does get made, we do look forward to the rematch. Francis, Ron, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your time in Poland. Of course, best of luck to Daniel Dubois tomorrow. Hopefully he brings it home.
Thank you very much, my friend. Come on, Daniel. Let's go.
That'd be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,